Hello, it's me, Diligo, and here's another video about the Crystal Dungeons, this time some tips and tricks. We had a long discussion today on Line Chat about Crystal Dungeons, and I figured I know some things about it that might interest other Alliance members. So let's just jump into it and um, not dwell on it for too long. So the two most important things going into Crystal Dungeons, and if you don't know in general about Crystal Dungeons, I encourage you to watch the basics video that I made prior to this, because I'm not gonna explain the basics here. I'm just gonna go through some tips and tricks. So the main focus you have to have is your main lineup, the first 5 heroes going into a challenge, and your bench. Now, I think your main lineup is the most important thing when going into a Crystal Dungeon challenge, because as a rule of thumb, so far, I've considered it a success if my main lineup survives to the last phase of a challenge. I don't care if they die like all of them, pretty much almost right off the bat there. I would like them to get some ultimates off first, but the most important thing for me is that my main lineup clears the first 2 phases, or 1 phase if you're lower in the challenge levels, or layers as they call them in this game mode. And when that happens, that your main lineup is good enough to take you to that last phase, then your bench becomes important. And by bench, I mean your substitute heroes that you select after your main lineup. And I think that it doesn't matter if your main lineup dies in the last phase if you have substitute heroes with ultimates that you've skilled up, so leveled up their ultimate skill. Their other skills are actually not that important, especially in the lower stages, earlier phases of the game, like earlier troop levels. But obviously, if they have all the skills, then they're better. But the ultimate does make a difference because they come out of the substitute bench into the game with their ultimate ready. Therefore, thing to consider is like the main 5 heroes, main lineup, and what kind of ultimates are on the bench. Okay, we'll get into that a bit later. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room again. So remember that failure is a part of the fun. Magic Rush Heroes is a war game against other players that punishes mistakes quite heavily in some other phases, other places in the game, other game modes, such as the world, PvP, player versus player. But Crystal Dungeons is an exception. There is no punishment for failure. You just try and try and try again, and if you don't succeed, then who cares? Just do it, have fun. There's value in getting to the higher stages, right? And I'm looking at my notes. But golly, you can have so much fun going up the stages that it's just crazy how much fun you can have. And I'm a little bit, around halfways now of the stages. They will get a lot harder later on. Like 120, 140 are already pretty crazy. But I'm working it. I'm getting there. Now my troop level doesn't allow me to destroy these 11 levels higher monsters. But that just means that I have to level up my troop level in order to have some more fun here. Simple as that. And let's get into the kind of tips and tricks part. So always learn from your past challenges. Always learn about the patterns of what Bibbo does. How to deal with these stone shield giants. These are kind of horrible in the later stages. How to burst him down with your main team as fast as possible in order to even control the rest of the opposing team. You can't really do anything to them properly before you kill these guys, and there can be multiple of them. So there's patterns you can observe and learn even in the earlier stages. Bibbo does what Bibbo does, you know. And I urge you to keep your sound on when you're doing PvE. So use headphones, use whatever. You can use speakers if you like. I don't care. But use sound when you're doing PvE, because when you hear that West go, "I'll make Swiss cheese out of you," you can interrupt him. When you hear that Emily go, or whatever it is, you can interrupt her. Interrupt their ultimates. That's very key. That's extremely key. That is how I got level 85 done. I interrupted Emily. I interrupted Ruby. I interrupted Thanos. And while they do get occasionally some ultimates out, if I preserve my ultimates, not for doing damage, but for controlling their ultimates and controlling them, especially with heroes out of my bench like Blaine, or even Medea has that ultimate clutch thing, or Lufia is a good starting hero, still good in later stages if you go through with her. She has an interrupt, like even Seely has an interrupt if you like her. So use those interrupts and use sound in order to know when the enemy is doing stuff. Because while you can use visual cues and you can look at the screen and when they are doing their ultimate thing, especially Thanos' ultimate is slow as heck, which is one of the reasons why you don't see him much, or it, I guess. It's just very slow ultimate to start. Yeah, you can use visual cues, but if there's a lot of stuff going on, then you might miss them, and even a single ultimate from someone who's 11 levels higher than your main lineup is gonna just destroy you. You gotta interrupt them, and to do that you need sound. Okay, that's one of the tricks. You trip when you learn it. And then just something, I wrote down some questions for you to kind of think about. So why did a hero die when it did? Who didn't do their job? Was the hero itself too weak? Or did a tank or a healer, another support, fail at their job? Or did another DPS, like damage dealing hero, fail at their job for not killing the enemy quick enough? Why did a hero die? How will you do better next time? What kind of switch do you need to do? What kind of adjustments? What kind of evolving do you need to do? Was it your mistake? Did you forget an ultimate? Did you miss an ultimate? Whatever. So think about these things when you're going through the Crystal Dungeons. Another thing I'd like to emphasize that sustain over everything. Now, crowd control is a part of sustain. Crowd control meaning that your heroes do something to the opponents, to the enemies, that either interrupts them or makes them temporarily disabled, such as stuns, blinds, binds, silences, knock-ups, knock-backs, knocks in the air, all sorts of stuff. So those are very important, not only in Crystal Dungeons, mind you, but also in the arena and all PvP, because when you force the opponent to miss their opportunity, to miss their ultimates, their chances, then you will stay alive longer to deal damage to them. Looking at my notes, yeah, whatever. I'm not gonna win this. I just thought that I would kind of explain my thinking on my lineups. So obviously I have pretty badass heroes, a lot of them. But let's just go through this step by step. So first of all, your main lineup should have a tank with a high survivability. So not someone who's how should I put it, gimmicky in their survivability, like Jacob, for example. Jacob, where's Jacob? So Jacob is a good hero and can have potentially good survivability because of his lifesteal, but it's dependent upon his lifesteal, which means that if the opposing team bursts him down or interrupts his ultimate or his abilities to lifesteal, then he's not gonna survive long. He's gonna die real fast. So you need a tank that simply survives a long time. Obviously, the optimum choice is a tank that also deals a lot of damage, like Baron does. And you need at least 2 damage dealing heroes. And some people run with 3. Some people go into the, especially the earlier stages, with 4. But personally, I think that 2 damage dealing heroes and a tank that can deal damage, Chavez is a good choice for that as well, is enough damage. And then 2 supports, out of which one can heal and the other one supports in other ways. So instead of Ariel, you could have Murphy or Sebastian or something like that. Although Sebastian, in my book, is a bench hero. It is a substitute of first class. And in your substitutes, you're looking for heroes, even though they're not necessarily leveled up to maximum, like Grunk here, or Smoke here, or Blaine here. You're looking for heroes that have ultimates that make a difference, that really change the game. So, like Smoke's ultimate potentially will disable most of the enemy team that's still alive and do a lot of damage to one of them. Blaine's ultimate will stop their skills, etc. And another thing in your bench that you have to have is substitute tanks. Because if your tank dies, when your tank usually dies, you have to have a tank to replace him. Now, technically, there are situations when you look at what's happening and you decide not to take a tank because you don't need one. But in my experience, that is an exception to the rule, basically. And if you want to go far in the Crystal Dungeons, like further than your troop level, like you will have to in later stages, obviously, Sebastian is an awesome bench hero, because when he comes in, when any of these heroes come in, they will have their ultimate ready. So a hero dies, Sebastian comes in, 5 seconds later, and resurrect a hero. So that is very important in bench play. Mira is a good one because her ultimate does a ton of damage. You might want to get like this. There's a guy in the back line of the enemy with just the tiniest bit of health left, like an Emily. Oh my goodness. And your tank that was beating on her died. And you have no one there, and there's 2 tanks in your back line, so everyone's focusing on them. That Emily is gonna ultimate, and he's gonna kill everyone. She's gonna kill everyone. Or a Thanos, like we had earlier. Yeah. You want a hero on the table that just can take her out. So Mira is a good one for that. These are all situational. Blaine is good for that as well. Doesn't do that much damage, but the silence will help your team to get rid of the tanks first, or to get their ultimates, and then deal with the Emily. Okay, let me just check my notes if I forgot something. Yeah, the exit strategy. Okay, so let's just go in. Let's just go in. I don't care. Like I said, this is an exceptional game mode because you don't really lose anything for doing this except time, but you're having a lot of fun. You're learning the game, and my game is stuck for some reason. Computer is still working, so oh, here we go. So I didn't actually look at my lineup. Okay, so we got Jolie here. Jolie's like here.
Say hello to my little friend and body.
We're gonna do this. Then look at Jolie. We're gonna focus on. We're gonna heal because sustain over everything else. Look, Abiel would have died. Now Jolie is under Ariel's spell, so that's why I ultimated with Ed to deal some extra damage. And now Ariel is about to die, basically. It's only 2 phases now. I can't really do much except try to shield myself before the guys can get there. And this is where I'm kind of ambitious. I could have done ultimates on the back line, but instead I want to start it here because it gives attack speed bonuses, and you really need to get this guy down right now, before anything else. And I don't want to use Edwin yet. I want to use him when Ditto comes out. There we go.
The outcome is clear.
Oh, that's Bibbo's ultimate. That's Bibbo's ultimate. The outcome is clear. Okay, she died, but that's fine. Bibbo, I don't actually see Bibbo's health at the moment, but we've got a few substitutes. Like, this is gonna go down real easy now. I don't know why, but it's gonna go down really easy. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna select one of our mains. We're gonna go with Zoe because I could go with like a Coco and ultimate her, but I want to put them together. Both my melee guys are in good shape, so they will do a lot of damage when they're grouped up, and Zoe will do that for me. Also, Zoe can interrupt the ultimate if, like, when people start an ability, like right now.
Yeah,
You see that? Now, in PvE, which is player versus environment, like against the computer, you can hear and see what they're doing and react. Like against the players, except in the Beast Soul tournament, you can't do this, it's automatic. But here you can totally do it. So I want people out. I'm gonna put him next to my Sizor over there.
The outcome is clear!
He was gonna ultimate right there. Didn't have a chance because I put him in the middle of my heroes there. That went swellingly. I got only 2 stars, but that's fine. And I didn't even have to use many of my guys. That's because it was the next level after like layer reward layer 85. So it's only 2 stages, and it's much easier 86 than 85 was. And it just gradually goes up and goes up and I'm fairly sure I can't get 90 yet. I'm gonna try today anyway, because that went so well, and it might be fun to get 90. Also, it might be fun to sweep 90 now. It's double sweep day. That's it for this video. I hope it helped you. I hope it made you think about how to progress in your lineups, what kind of main lineup you want, what kind of bench do you want, and just think about 5 heroes that you're going to use in the arena, that you're going to use here, that you're going to use in the campaign, that is your main team in every other game mode, basically, except maybe tower defense not, and increase those. But also know that your ultimates of your bench heroes are very important. Thank you for watching. Like the video if you think that someone could use this information. Subscribe if you want to hear more of my voice and see my face and my stupid game. Have a good one.